Hey y'all, hey, it's Galanda B, an emotional awareness coach dedicated to helping you understand and connect with your emotions through mindfulness, enabling you to experience greater peace and joy in your life. It's been a long time since y'all heard me say that. Not because I haven't been out here on these interwebs, but I just switched it up a little bit and have been doing some shorter form content. Anyway, today's video is going to be a pre-year update. So it is the beginning of September, and I am coming up on being not in the US for an entire year. It blows my mind. A lot has happened, a lot hasn't happened, and I haven't made a video because, just to be honest, I have been struggling with my own emotional control. And I do not like to projectile my emotional challenges onto other people. So I've been keeping it, pretty low and to the ground. I mostly wanted to come on here and make this video to share with folks that social media is not a real place. You see people on here doing all these different things, but real life happens when the camera is not on, and even sometimes when the camera is on. The point being to be kind, give grace. I've spent entirely too much time on social media, right? Consuming content rather than creating it. And I've noticed how judgmental people are, for lack of a better word, right? And it's really put on my spirit to say, don't do that. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know the circumstances that led up to why they're on there. You don't know why they decided or how it supports them to share their story on social media, right? Consume it if you will, but reserve your commentary for your private circle, not necessarily on their page unless you're going to be supportive. Anyway, I just had to get that out. So it's been almost a year. This time last year, I was packing up my apartment, right? Getting ready to move out of my apartment, thinking that I was preparing to move my stuff to an interim location, go visit my family for a couple of weeks, come back, sort through the rest of my stuff, to then embark on my nomadic journey, right? The plan was for me to leave the US, come to Ghana, stay here for a bit, embark and go on to somewhere else for a few months, come back to Ghana, and kind of hop back and forth to Ghana. That is not what happened. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity and the privilege to obtain citizenship here. And also in that time, there was a change in political administration here in Ghana as well as in the US. So it's a lot of moving parts all around me, and then a lot of moving parts in me. And I'll just be honest, I really believe that within 6 months of being here, I would have a whole little business set up. My business would be booming, it would be going, and I would be making money, and I wouldn't be worried about money. And y'all, none of that happened. I felt like this was a sense of deja vu of when I moved out of my long-term relationship, aka marriage, where I just was existing. I did not realize how much I needed the space to just be. And I think we underestimate that, right? Especially coming from the West, where it's, you got to work, you got to hustle, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like the space to just decompress. I didn't realize how much space I needed to decompress, and I still need to decompress. Now the program is deep. I'm still like, oh, you got to hustle, you got to do this, got to do that. But I realized that the things that are for me comes best when I am rested, when I am closer to being a whole and not just pieces of me thrown um, together. So, um, in my time here, I, under traditional or conventional means, I haven't accomplished much of anything. I have not accomplished much. Um, my business is not booming. I am a coach. Um, I don't have any clients. Yep, in a whole year, not a single client. Uh, I have I have created some products, right? I have created 2 journals. I'm gonna link to them, you know, in the description. So if you want to go get them, I've created 2 physical journals as well as 2 electronic journals. So okay, cool. I've created a coloring book that I have not yet released. um, and just about 8 days or 9 days ago, I decided to write a book in 45 days. Crazy, I know. Air signs always getting something to do. And that came about because I had a lot of excess energy, emotional energy, that I wanted to expend in a positive way, as opposed to just either holding it, which I could feel was not in my favor, or expending it in a way that wasn't positive: anger, outburst, lash, talking crazy people, cuss people out. Right. Like none of that is necessarily going to yield an outcome that I would be happy with. So stay tuned for that. Um, but I mostly have just been being. I have spent entirely a huge amount of time playing online games on my phone. hmm I have. And you might say, well, Galanda, you're supposed to have it all together. Who says? The part of this video is to let people know nobody has it all together. That is a falsehood. There's no such thing as all together. Sometimes you have better coping skills and sometimes you have less. Sometimes you have the tools to be more resilient and sometimes you have less. I think what is unique about me, which I'm trying to figure out how to convey that I can help people with, is I don't self-deprecate so much for not living up to some standards of I don't even know where the hell they came from, right? Yes, I am online more than I probably should be. Yes, I play games more than I should be. But do I feel bad about it? I don't. Do I think sometimes that, hey, I should be doing something else with my time? I do. Do I feel like, hey, you should have read more books during this time? Absolutely. But I do not internalize that there is something implicitly wrong with me because I didn't do it, right? I believe that all of these things were part of me transitioning and adjusting. Have I still taken care of my responsibilities morally, financially? For the most part, yes, right? And to me, that's the win, right? Like, I'm not drowning. And even for people who are drowning, did you take care of yourself today? That is movement in the right direction. We can't always control the things that happen to us. I have a personal circumstance going on right now that has really thrown a monkey wrench in the way that I would like to move in my life. But I had to come to terms with I can only control myself. And this is the message that I want people to understand. You cannot control any other person or any other entity. You can only control yourself. And once you realize that, the second step is to work, because it is work, to release the need for the control. Right? Just because you know you can't control it doesn't mean you don't still feel like you want to control it. Right? So you work on releasing the need for having that control. Right? And that's one of the most impactful things that this year has taught me. Releasing the need for control of others and situations, right? You can influence a situation. You can impact a situation. But there are very, very few things that you actually control in the grand scheme of your life, right? This realization has helped me to feel lighter in a way that I never knew that I could feel, right? I am a person, contrary to what it may seem, it's a very natural progression for me to be angered. I just have good control over it, but I get angered often, right? Agitated, something in that section of the emotions wheel, right? And releasing the need for control of how other people choose to act has really mitigated my anger. And when I mitigate my anger, my body feels better, just generally, even without me doing additional exercise or additional meditation or anything. The need to control is a safety mechanism because there is a lot of uncertainty in releasing the need for control, right, over other things. When you really focus on yourself, what you can and cannot do, what you can and cannot handle, there is a level of vulnerability there that I wholly understand is very challenging. But I'm here to tell you that it's also extremely freeing. So I'm going to keep moving along. I'm going to work on, continuing to share what I've learned. I'm very careful because I am considerate, because my life is intertwined with other people, that they have their own story to share. So trying to share my story in a way that I can be true and authentic to myself without naming or identifying other people is very important to me. In any case, long story short, you can't control other people. You can only control yourself and your choices. And if you find the strength to relinquish the control that you believe that you have over other people's decisions and actions, you will be amazed at what comes to you, right? I'll give you all like a little tidbit, right? So, in the midst of this challenge that I'm currently engaged in, I may had this realization, and soon after, I got a call about leading a yoga session for a reality show. Who knew? Right? Like clueless. Like literally, I got a call on Saturday to show up on Monday. Right? This is an opportunity that I would have never dreamed of. I have been in spaces and places where I have met people where there's the potential for my wellness work to be my primary work. I have been in the situation to where my project management, analysis, implementation work can be global, right? So, but I had to release the need for the control over, I can only do the work this way. I can only do the work when it looks like this. And when I released that, a lot of these opportunities came to me. So if it's one thing that I would like you to take with you as you move along in your space in your day, is that you choose. You choose where to put your energy. You choose where to put your attention. And the choice should always be you first. Always. The choice should always be you first. When you choose you first and work on yourself, all the other stuff eventually flows, right? Eventually. All right, until next time. Bye-bye.